Okay. This actually hit me as I was reading about the law of power of concentrating your forces. I started thinking about this, that a while back I had thought about, because it's something that Quartering had mentioned, and it wasn't that he had said it exactly, but it made me think of it, that because Quartering's gotten so famous for focusing on the get woke go broke thing of many corporations, but really it was somebody earlier. I think they wrote for either Radix or wrote for Alternative Right Blogspot, but they had gotten into this whole thing of when you see a company go charitable, it might have even been Roosh V. When you see a company start aiming toward charity, you know that it's a sign that they have real problems. They have internal problems. And so this is actually something that really hit me with, people have seen like how companies will try to now get on board of social movements, really thinking very much like Twitter is the real world, is one of the phrases. But what now I've had to think about is that the whole, going for charity ends up that you should look to see if their market share is starting to drop, if that there's a way of seeing that they are now at a stage that their market share is not, that a key brand is not as popular as it used to be, that their market share dropping, and it might just be that the market for such a thing, like say Coca-Cola, is Coca-Cola losing to another product? Or is it that, even though Coca-Cola has lots and lots and lots of, it's, a larger company, it's got lots of other brands, but is specifically Coca-Cola losing its classical market share? And looking for stuff like that. Seeing how the Democrats have tried to court black people through BLM. They're trying to sort of hold on to this far left end of the party by not doing anything about Antifa too openly, and therefore sort of ingratiating themselves to the progressives. But it's also that they're spreading their forces. While the Republicans, what Trump did is Trump became a focal point. And that really one of the worst things that a lot of Republican politicians are doing, see, like people might, dislike the various people who are trying to kind of almost be a bit Trumpish, or they're trying, that it doesn't come across quite right. But the thing is that what they're doing is they're being unapologetically them. That now the opponents of Marjorie Taylor Greene hate Marjorie Taylor Greene. And somebody like Mitt Romney, who is trying to spread his popularity, only defeats him more and more and more. And that the rhinos, the more they try to be moderate and spread their, really that'd be spreading their power. They're spreading the base of their power, and in spreading the base of their power, in Tai Chi, that would be you become double weighted, and in so doing you lose your ability to focus your power when you need to focus it. And I love Fat Chick puts her mask on as she's jogging past me. God, what is it with stupid fatties? Like this entire generation of just these not clever fatties. Oh well. I've started thinking about, one of the things about Get Woke Go Broke is that it's spreading. You're trying to garner a larger market share. Even like say with Fortnite having suddenly a Martin Luther King DLC. this idea that you're garnering more support among black players, and then there was this thing of trying to being more inclusive to women, and how notice the Japanese in anime and manga have done nothing to try to change to these activists. You know, they won't yield to the activists whatsoever, and it's because they know they just need to concentrate on what they do and do it so well that nobody can do it better. Why try to garner power, market share from people who you have no guarantee will actually even like your product? And America has gotten far too enamored with this idea that if you just include everybody, you have to come up with something that everybody likes. And really, it's completely the opposite. You need to focus on something. This was actually in a video that I just watched the other day by Hateless Gaming. And Hateless Gaming got into how to make a lot of money in EVE Online. And he outlined what he had done. And he said, honestly, what it was is that he got so good at doing missions, which is something that I kind of like doing as well. And he's like, I got so good at it that I was able to just stack up more and more and more money, because I was able to do them more and more and more efficiently. And of course, it was one of those moments where, you know, the brilliance of the design of EVE Online really hit me. I'm like, yes, of course. Now, I've done, this or that mission. You know, everybody does those level 1 missions kind of over and over and over again. And in a way, you get a little bored of them. And you're like, oh, maybe I should do something else. Sorry, there's the last of these for the season. Might as well get them while they're getting good. And so, what really hit me, and he made a great point. If you're just trying to get all skills down better, why not focus on something that'll enable you to gain better and better skill? Inevitably, you get more efficient and better at the game. You're doing what really you like to do. And you're getting space money. So, you might as well, as the law of power says, concentrate your forces. And this has been actually kind of a thing that I've noticed the right has done, whether meaning to or inadvertently. It comes to the no apologies. That in no way, shape, or form are you making any excuses. Oh, well, we should include this group or that group. There's been no yielding to the idea of, oh, we should include the libertarians. And it's like, well, no. Why spread our forces? Oh, well, what if this offends the women? Why spread our forces, and why try to include a group that might ally but won't, or we have no idea if they will? And this has also been shown through the whole idea of the allies part of left-end politics, that you end up with these people who think that they think they're the white allies to black people, but really that when push comes to shove, the white allies don't have a whole bunch of black people showing up for their causes. The white allies show up for a cause and say, we are white allies, we are here to riot and cause trouble. And that black people are, that there will be these black activists, mostly women, are like, oh yay, look, we got all this support. But when, it comes down to who's going to stop the gangbangers and who's going to stop the shootings and who's going to do anything really to actually end the dysfunctionality in the Black American society. The white allies aren't there, and they don't really have a solution. They just have, they have no solutions. Because they have no principles. So I was just thinking about this, that's actually the thing now, that especially because Black Americans politically don't concentrate their forces, that they're constantly being led astray. Concentrate on, making sure voting laws are such that illegal immigrants and groups of fraudsters can steer the vote toward the Democratic Party, no matter what the Democratic Party's policies are. Now, I mean, just imagine if there was another crime bill. If that had got to the point where the Democrats were positing a crime bill and all the activists and white allies suddenly supported that, what are Black Americans going to do if all of a sudden the Democrats had this incredible machine to steer votes fraudulently toward their party forever? That the drug war would last forever. The pussy to prison pipeline would last forever. And there would be no way out of it. And that's of course, it's because Black Americans politically, they really culturally are not one group, and then politically they will not concentrate their forces. And you could see this from like these different groups always arguing on Sonnet or TV, and all these Black women who would get all upset at Black men actually wanting them to be, of the size of a female compared to a male. And it's like, well, if you just concentrated your forces and you did what you wanted to do to get what you want, you would get what you want. But you don't want that. You want the esteem of women who are lower tier, and that makes you feel good, rather than you want to find a man and obtain him who's on a higher tier and have a stable life. They're not concentrating their forces. But Get Woke, Go Broke is actually a great way of seeing that, of diffusion of forces, and that really American brands in general, like this has happened to Black Rifle Coffee. That Black Rifle Coffee had a solid market. They had a solid market. There was basically a whole bunch of people that were going, I could buy this coffee, I could buy that coffee, but Black Rifle Coffee, that company, is our company. And then when they decided to I guess fuck with Alex Jones, they then to apparently possibly extend into more markets. Well, they fucked up. I mean, just plain out, they fucked up. They didn't think that having a loyal customer base was as valuable as trying to appeal to everybody. And I've seen this with like a lot of different businesses. Why are you trying so hard to reach these people when they don't spend that much money at your place? You're trying so hard to please this group or that group. Why are you trying? Like, this is a big one with vegetarians and vegans. Vegetarians and vegans are most likely young people. There's places now that are just vegetarian and vegan places. And it really is a matter of that when you try to keep extending more and more and more to vegetarians and vegans, as compared to just normal eaters, normal diners, that inevitably, because these are also a fickle bunch, they're more likely, even we know vegetarians and vegans are even more likely to be people who are mentally unstable. And so it's just this matter of, like, I knew somebody who, she was a vegetarian. A place for a while carried a dish with lamb, and she just said, when she saw that, she just said, I'm just never coming in here again. You're serving lamb, I'm never coming back. And it really is this matter of, to some degree, to say that to, the person at the register, it doesn't matter to them. It actually only makes them kind of like, whatever, but what's really important about that is that it shows, no, they're absolutely fickle and fair weather, and they'll just vanish at some point. For whatever reason, and so you shouldn't try to get into that market if that's not your market, because you're not concentrating your forces. And that was like one of these things that there was a number of places that I've seen. You're trying to do this and you're trying to do that all at the same time. You're trying to carry all these different product lines. Why don't you just focus on a core number of product lines and then have something that is a special? And this used to be understood. This used to be much better understood business practice when people were more practical and were just less thinking. They didn't think like Twitter was the real world. They just weren't dopamine addicted and constantly trying to please everybody. One of the most successful, long-lasting eateries in Eugene is a place that serves pretty much 5 things. People who know it will probably be able to guess. It serves as specifically things from the Grecian, a certain Grecian delicacy. So it's that, and that guy has concentrated on pretty much 5 things ever since he had a small stand that sold hot dogs. So everybody knows who I'm talking about now. And so, and that is key. And so I think, and I'm just putting that out there because I think, because it's starting to really hit me, just because in the 48 Laws of Power, when he's talking about concentrating your forces, he actually gets into the Rothschilds and how brilliantly they would concentrate their forces by making it a family affair and not stepping out of the family. And to a great extent, that is going to be one of the successes of the right. Not only is it this idea of there's not many ways of reaching out far beyond that today, but it was also this thing of that you simply that there will never be a point at which it will be valuable to reach too far out. This is why even having Vaush on Tim Pool, that really didn't. That was kind of useless to have Charlie Kirk and Vaush on there, and Charlie Kirk really even showed that Vaush actually did a fantastic job of making Charlie Kirk use poor strategy in debating, where really what would have been a debate was, of course, Vaush versus somebody like Vincent James or Nick Fuentes or Ben Shapiro. That's somebody who really is absolutely positively opposed to Marxist ideology and to licentiousness and stuff like that. And then Charlie Kirk is a part of the conservatives that are constantly trying to figure out ways of expanding their market share, not really getting that it's no, this makes you look like you don't have principles because you won't concentrate your forces. And so that's even why somebody like Charlie Kirk is only quasi valuable to really conservatives, the traditionalists, the right, things like that. It was just some thoughts I had along those lines. Ran through my mind. Highly recommend 48 Laws of Power. It's a really good book. All right, well, time for me to get a few supplies and do some things to concentrate my forces. Even I've been diffuse in trying to look into too many things at once, where I really need to concentrate on bookkeeping rather than trying to look at this and look at that as a possibility. So, all right, later.